Hello, everybody. Happy winter solstice. I'm so glad to be here. It's been a while since I've seen everybody's beautiful smiling faces, and I'm honored to close out the year 2020 um, with you all tonight, since this will be our last Sangha meeting of the year. And it happens to fall on this beautiful day, the winter solstice, where we may be experiencing the shortest day, longest night, but we are also welcoming back the light. And just like Ron is showing off his candle, if you have brought a candle with you to meditation tonight or some incense, Heather is going to lead us right now in an incense chant that is one of the chants from our tradition. So without further ado, go ahead and light your candle, and Heather will lead the way. And I think that she'll be able to put up the chant on her screen so we can all follow along.
In gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home.
now we will roll into our walking meditation portion of the evening. And I think everyone here is an old hand at that. So we'll go ahead and continue on, and Heather will ring us forward. Thank you, Heather, for bell minding this evening. So I read Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings on right thinking. It's the last segment of the Eightfold Path series that we've been covering, and I found his teachings to be extremely beneficial and just a pleasure to read. So I hope I'm able to impart a little bit of what I learned from him with you. So right thinking is not a standalone concept, but it's an important branch of the Eightfold Path. When the foundation of our right view is solid, we are strengthening our right thinking. And as we strengthen our right thinking, our right view will improve. They are inextricably connected. The quality of our right thinking directly impacts the quality of our actions because of the cause and effect nature of thinking and acting. So our actions are a result of our thinking. And as we develop our right thinking, the quality and nature of our actions will benefit. Thich Nhat Hanh very smartly pulled out the quote from Descartes saying, "I think, therefore I am." And he used that as an opportunity to expand on the nature of our relationship with thought and thinking. Descartes was saying that and making that assertion that that our thinking is direct proof of our existence. And Ty's actually turning that on its head, and he begs to differ. He says that he would conclude the opposite. He said, "I think, therefore I am not." He goes on to say that as long as our mind and our body are not connected, then we cannot truly say that we are here. So essentially, he's saying that to be in thought is to not be in the present moment. And in thought, our mind is actually disconnected from our body. So to be fully present, our mind and our body are to be connected and not separate. Really, the fact that statement is a revelation is kind of a revelation in itself, because we have to recognize that our mind and our body are not connected to even begin the practice of mind-body connection. I think a concept that maybe sounds a little simpler than it is in practice. To connect our mind with our body, we have a lovely tool available to us, which is our breath, of course. So by focusing on our breath, we direct our awareness to the present moment and away from worries about what the future may hold, and away from dwelling on events of the past. The majority of the thinking that takes place is not useful or necessary, which, wow, right? I find myself doing a lot of thinking. So seeing as we spend most of our days lost in thought, which I'm sure is a phrase Ty would find especially poignant, it can be tough to confront the possibility that most of our thoughts are needless. It reminded me of a statement that I had read from Jeff Goldstein about thinking in relation to making plans, because it sort of begs the question, well, I need to think sometimes, right? I need to make my appointment at the dentist, what have you. I can't not be thinking all day long. And so that he said, of course, thinking is necessary, but when you find your mind running through your plans for the 15th time, in a row, you can catch yourself and bring awareness to that and realize that perhaps that 14th, 15th iteration is probably not necessary. you may have already played all the scenarios out in your head. And it's not actually benefiting your plans or your dentist appointment. So that's the kind of unhelpful thinking that's being referred to. And Ty likens this stream of thought to a cassette player in our head that we cannot turn off. Often this thinking is a form of worrying that leads to tension in the body, bringing us back to that mind-body connection. And as everything is interconnected, the consequences of our worry and tension spill over into our actions and our speech and our perceptions. And it's not hard to see how our thoughts can impact our relationships and health in this way. When we pay attention to the cassette player in our mind, then we illuminate our thoughts and we can decipher when they are not useful. Although this concept is kind of back to basics, it's well worth revisiting early and often. I was particularly struck by how Ty's not telling us to stop thinking, which in itself would be an impossible task, but rather to notice our thinking. It's by holding our thoughts in mindful awareness that we strengthen right thinking. He goes on to say that there's two types of thoughts, or two types of thinking. And the first is initial thought, vitarka. And an example of this would be, this afternoon, I have to turn in an essay for a literature class. And then the second thought is a developing thought, and that's fikara. And an example of that would be, am I doing this assignment correctly? What if I turn it in late? Should I proofread it again? And in the first stage of meditative concentration, both kinds of thinking are present. In the second stage, neither forms of thought are present. The second stage is beyond words and concepts and closer to the reality of the present moment. And to illustrate this point, Ty tells a story about walking through the forest with some small children, and one of the little girls in the group runs up to him and asks, "Grandfather Monk, what color is the tree bark?" And he responds, "It's the color that you see." And his point was that he did not want to add another concept to her experience. He wanted to move past those two forms of thinking. So, in a very handy manner, he's provided us with 4 practices of right thinking. The first one is a personal favorite of mine, and it's, "Are you sure?" I've, as he's instructed, I've read this a couple years ago. He said to kind of jot it down where you can see it frequently as a little reminder. And he uses the example of the rope, which we first mistake to be a snake before realizing it's nothing to fear. Initially, we're startled and fear-based thinking takes place. When our perceptions of reality are erroneous, then our thinking will be incorrect. It isn't difficult to see how this has a compounding effect. I don't know about y'all, but the daily news cycle, especially this year, has given us plenty of fodder for practice in this arena. So by asking yourselves frequently, "Are you sure?" you're reminding yourself, 1, to question the reality of your experience, and 2, to remember that your thoughts are a product of your own highly individual and often fallible perceptions. Second one is, what am I doing? No, what am I doing? This question is helpful in directing your attention back to the present moment. Ty says that he often asks monks, what are you doing, to direct them out of thought and back into the present moment. And they need not only smile to let him know that they, message received. So the question, when asked often during the day, will remove the desire to rush through tasks as you shine the light of awareness on what you're doing in the present moment, whether it's working, resting, or even socializing. Personally, I employ this technique often when cooking and doing the dishes. We don't have a dishwasher, so I have a lot of opportunities for practice. And I find it slightly ironic that I claim to love cooking so much, but often find myself, rushing through the actual task. And sometimes there'll be like a tension in my chest, or, I can kind of feel my, chop, 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 chop. Like, rushing around the kitchen. And I have to wonder, when I have the awareness to catch myself, what am I doing? I have to wonder, why am I rushing when I enjoy this, when I claim to at least enjoy this so much? And isn't this the very thing that I anxiously look forward to doing? Even if I didn't enjoy cooking, I would still have to do it. And it would be a shame to miss out on the small pleasures of food preparation. So it's clear to me that I can extend that logic to many facets of my life beyond my lack of dishwasher. So it seems that most of life is spent working through mundane tasks, not spent relaxing or kicking it up with some friends. So there's a real opportunity to bring our presence of mind to these daily tasks. And I think the consequences of not doing that is big. You're in effect missing out on your life, which sounds kind of dramatic. But if our life is made up of a million little mundane tasks, then it should be worth it to find a way to be present with them and, in effect, enjoy them. That can be accomplished by paying attention and being mindful and asking yourself, what am I doing? To bring awareness back to your body and your breath and the task at hand. He also actually used the example of washing dishes. He says that if you bring your full awareness to the task of washing dishes, then you are really here. Then it can be deep and enjoyable experience. But if you're thinking about other things and not there with the dishes, then you're wasting your time and probably not washing the dishes very well anyway. And let me tell you, I've wasted a lot of time. The third practice is hello habit energy. This is all about the interrelationship of right action with right thinking. Often our habits and our actions are compulsive and perhaps not even healthy, and prevent us from living in the present moment. We need time to contemplate the cherry blossoms and drink our tea, instead of getting caught up in thoughts about our work, even when we're not working, which is sort of a modern day problem, he points out. I've heard before that everyone tends toward a numbing agent or a self-soother, if you would. For some people, it's workaholism, and for others, it's doom scrolling. But it's an action that we default to when we need some comfort, and often it becomes so automatic we're hardly aware of making the conscious decision to engage in this activity. When we recognize that our thoughts are the result of our habits, then we can say, hello habit energy, and separate ourselves, the awareness, away from the thought and not get so carried up by its contents. Perhaps even giving us an opportunity to make a mindful choice. Right thinking leads to right action, and of course, vice versa. The fourth one is bodhicitta, and our mind of love is the deep wish to cultivate understanding in ourselves in order to bring happiness to many beings. It's our motivation for right living. If we cultivate it, then it will be the foundation of our thinking, and everything we do or say will help others to become liberated. Tai said that the Buddha gives us tools to transform troubling thoughts. One tool is to replace an unwholesome thought with a wholesome one. The way a carpenter replaces a rotten peg with a new one. I personally love that visualization. The Buddha also compared unwholesome thoughts to wearing a dead snake around your neck. Quite a picture. But what he's trying to illustrate there is how your environment and your circumstances influence your thoughts. And a good way to cultivate wholesome thinking is to surround yourself with a community that practices mindful living, just like we are doing tonight. It's preventative medicine. So right thinking is in accord with right view. There are situations when thinking is necessary, but largely it is not. Once a thought has lost its function, then we can settle in, let it go, and arrive at the present moment. In true Zen Buddhism fashion, think non-thinking is a helpful reminder. And personally, in the beginning of my practice, it was a real revelation to me that I am not my thoughts. And over time, I've come to slowly, very, very slowly, recognize my thoughts as not me and to separate their content from my awareness of them. I don't have a great success rate on that, but just giving a little glimpse of that separation helps to hold some of these thoughts kind of in a spacious, mindful awareness. And it's been really helpful to not feel like I have to own my thoughts. Some of them are a product of this habit energy or the environment in which you're a part of. And that can be in a societal level, that can be in a family, that can be in a community group. But the point is that you are not your thoughts. And the point is not to not think your thoughts. But the point is to make space for your thoughts and get acquainted with the nature of your thinking. And in doing so, I think you'll find that as you learn about the nature of your mind, your perception of your thoughts and your relationships with your thoughts will change. They're a part of your life and they're always going to be there. They're going to come and go. And the point isn't to squash them, but to hold them. And personally, I really responded to the reminder to link the body with the mind in order to be fully present. And he emphasizes staying with your breath, which I enjoy, and that's often where I go, but I also personally employ the sense of my hands when I'm doing a task and I realize that I've kind of lost I'm all in my head, I have no body, that sort of sensation. Then sometimes I like to bring my feeling back into my hands to pay attention to, I don't know, maybe the dish, the 1 billionth dish that I've had to wash. COVID has really stacked up the plates on my counter. But it also helps me to kind of go back to my like heart center too. And often now I personally will find that I'm holding some tension that has snuck in somehow, some pesky tension or something, and just bringing that awareness to it, release. I'm not even asking for the release. It just happens. And I think that's what I have been finding as I turn my attention to my thoughts is it's very powerful to just notice them, I suppose, is the big takeaway there for me. And as I wrap it up here, I had a couple of thoughts, some things that I'm curious about from you all, the community, on what you think about thinking. And so I was wondering how y'all relate to your thoughts, and how do you personally connect your mind with your body? Because I know that's a little bit different for everyone. And have you ever found yourself using some form of, are you sure? Or what am I doing? One of these 4 practices. So anyway, thank you so much for letting me take up a little space here and share what I've learned about right thinking.